This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
The purpose of ethics and morality is to work out the rules that help us to distinguish right and wrong. Despite the differences between the definition of right and wrong in various cultures, times, and among individuals, I consider that the main wrong is to harm other human beings, and right is to benefit and help others and yourself. Not harming animals is essential as well, but present-day humanity cannot do without meat, fur, and animal testing. For me, the idea of responsibility toward the environment means that we should care about future generations. Ethics, according to Webster's dictionary, is a set of rules that are based on beliefs about what is good and what is bad. As Thomas Jefferson believed, humankind was by default granted a moral sense that made empathy possible. The same complicated issue has attracted the attention of Michael Gazzaniga, a neuroscientist. He found out that moral empathy was a tool for our survival during evolution. In earlier times, ethics was closely tied to, or even substituted by, religion. According to Irish Murdoch, the idea of virtue is some kind of a bridge between religion and ethics. The idea of virtue is an essential contributor to human behavior. The demand that we should be virtuous or try to become good, Murdoch states, is something that goes beyond explicit calls of duty. So, ethics is several certain rules based on the beliefs about good and bad, no matter if it is connected with any religion or not. It is, however, not an easy task to distinguish the good from the bad. Different cultures and even different periods of the same culture offer their understandings of right and wrong. For instance, a 15-year-old pregnant girl is a shock to Western society. It is something wrong, and the father of her child should be punished. For a Middle Eastern country, it is perfectly normal. Slavery was a common thing in antiquity, but it is a crime nowadays. Moreover, different people define wrong and right in different ways. William Wilberforce and the slave traders lived in the same country and period, but for the former slave trade was a wrong thing to do, whereas the latter would not agree with him. Despite these crucial differences in ethical principles of cultures, epochs, and individuals, throughout human history there has been, and there is, a gradual movement toward an ideal, according to which no human being must harm another human being. To my opinion, this should be the primary ethical principle. It is wrong when it harms others, or yourself, and it is right when it does not harm or it benefits others or yourself. As an example, there is no sin in craving and pursuing wealth, but it becomes wrong once you decide to deceive someone for building a fortune. A person, I am sure, should behave according to this principle, that is not harm others, if not for a clear conscience, then at least if they want others not to harm them. Another question that arises is whether the rules of ethics and morality coincide with civil laws. It is usually considered right to obey laws and wrong to disobey them. But, as usual, there are exceptions. Martin Luther King Jr., who fought against unjust laws and for the rights of black people, wrote on the issue, "We should never forget that everything Adolf Hitler did in Germany was illegal. It was illegal to aid and comfort a Jew in Hitler's Germany. Even so, I am sure that, had I lived in Germany at the time, I would have aided and comforted my Jewish brothers." Some thinkers consider that ethical principles should be applied equally to all humans. On the one hand, I tend to agree. I cannot justify discrimination based on race, gender, sexuality, disability, or other factors like these. On the other hand, while this notion can be successfully applied to people in general, we can face hardships when applying it to some precise cases. For example, it is wrong to take an individual's freedom from them, but what about criminals who belong in prison? It is a bad thing to force someone to do something against their will. But what if a mentally ill person is dangerous to society and does not want to be under treatment? I must admit that ethical principles cannot be applied equally to all people and that the rejection of this conclusion would do more wrong than right. Apart from that, an idea exists that ethical principles should go beyond humans and apply to animals as well. Probably the earliest system of beliefs to suggest this was Buddhism. According to Buddhist views, humans should not harm animals and should feel equal respect for the lives of animals and humans. Nevertheless, even Buddhism does not forbid experimenting on animals, and Buddha did not directly prohibit eating meat. Animal testing helped develop quite several vital things, such as medicine. Sometimes severe frosts leave people no choice but to wear fur, and not every geographical zone has enough nutritious plants for humans to make up for not eating meat. For instance, the traditional diet of Inuit is based mainly on meat, and they can hardly sustain themselves without eating it. It is difficult to distinguish right and wrong here. I agree that deliberate violence against animals is immoral, but I cannot reject the importance of animal testing, wearing fur, and meat consumption. To go even further, ethical principles can be applied to the environment as well. First of all, irresponsible treatment of environmental resources, such as extensive land use or overexploitation of energy sources, is a violation of the above-mentioned principle to do no harm to other humans. By worsening the ecological situation, we worsen the life of future generations. A lot of thinkers believe that we should pay respect to nature itself, and for that reason spoiling nature is immoral. Conversely, I consider that nature is stronger than us, and it will find a way to cope with changes, and then it is we who will be in danger. To conclude, for me the central ethical rule is to do no harm and to help other human beings. It is immoral to harm animals without serious purpose. Unfortunately, there is still no way to avoid hurting them for meat and fur and during experiments. Our responsibility toward the environment is our duty not to nature, which is strong and able to transform, but to future generations. If you want to find more works like this essay on the difference between right and wrong, head over to ivypanda.com. It has a collection of free samples with thousands of submissions covering virtually all academic subjects. No registration required to access it.